purely the optimization of your website. I'll say again, I am not an SEO expert or genius or guru or any of that type of thing. I am merely passing on information that has been given to me, that I have tried, that I have worked with, that I have used, whether it be on my own site, which at the time was Kent Electrics, and I know SEO moves on. But I've tried, in essence, to keep up. I listen to people like Gary. I have a network of people that I work with on the speakers circuit who tried different things for their products and their businesses. So this is information from a tried and trusted, if you like, methods, things that have been done, that have worked. It's things that you can do very easily yourself before. See, I'm not saying don't ever get involved in SEO expert. What I'm saying is before you involve an SEO expert, or before you part with your hard-earned cash, which what the toolbox is all about, low and no cost marketing techniques. So these are things that you can do yourself. And again, I'm not necessarily saying, you know, if you're extremely busy and you're running an organization, you may not want to do it yourself, but you should understand it. You should know what's going on, so that if you do farm it out, if you are giving it to somebody to do, if you're paying for SEO, try and understand what's actually happening. But like I said, you don't have to pay an SEO expert to do this kind of stuff, because you can do it yourself. Or if your web developer or web designer, whatever the tag that they're using is, listens to instructions, you can give them the instructions to do these things, which will help in the ranking of your site. Now, that might sound contradictory, because you're going to say, of course, that wouldn't a web developer or a web designer do this automatically? If this is so easy and so straightforward, wouldn't they do this automatically? And the answer to that is no. And don't ask me why, I don't know. My guess is because they are not SEO experts. My guess is it goes back to my normal feeling about designers, developers, and so on and so forth, and that is that they are more interested in turning out the product, i.e. what it looks like, than what it actually does. My interest is what it does for you, and what I wanted to do is make your phone ring, or make your email hop, or whatever you want to call it. But I'm not concerned about the look of it, I'm concerned about what it actually does. I think most developers and designers are more concerned about how it looks, and they don't concern themselves with the optimization. Or, if I was going to be cynical, if the web developer designer happens to be an SEO expert as well, and I was going to be cynical about it, then I would say that they intentionally don't do it so that they can charge you for it later. And make it seem like they are doing some kind of ultra magic in order to get you ranked, when in fact, as I said, this in my view is low-hanging fruit. This is stuff that you can actually do yourself for your own SEO to get your site ranked. Now it goes without saying that there is a place for experts and SEO experts. Like in every field, there comes a time when you will need an expert, but why pay for it at a point where you don't need it? If you haven't yet picked the low-hanging fruit and got yourself ranked as far as you can by doing these small things, then why pay somebody to do the stuff that you can do yourself? That's my thoughts on it. Okay. Oh, sorry, we're back on the green tea again, guys. Okay, so initially what we're looking at is domain names. Now, and I say domain name because that's the starting point, isn't it? You start up in business, you become the electrician, you decide on a business name, you get a nice business name. I'll use mine for example, like Kent Electrics, and you think that's great. I live in Kent, I operate in Kent, we'll call the business Kent Electrics. And then you go shopping for domain names, and the domain name that you want is Kent Electrics. Typical. In my view, that again, going back to logos and branding and all of that, that's the vanity way. And I don't mean that in any kind of derogatory term. I mean it simply from the point of view, because I've done it, and we all do it, yeah? From the point of view, that's the name of the organization. That's not necessarily what people would search on the web. And like everything, your domain name, in my view, should have searchable terms in it. Because if you picture, and everything goes back to the ideal customer, so I don't want to keep harping on about ideal customer, but I will mention it. Everything goes back to understanding what is it your customer types in when they sit down at a keyboard to type in when they want an electrician. Okay, now they're not going to type in Kent Electrics because they don't know Kent Electrics exists. You know, they're not going to type in Darren Spencer Electric because they don't know Darren Spencer Electrics exists. They're not going to type in MTR Electrics, SPM Electrics, because they don't know that these things exist. Now, should we have those domain names? Yes, we certainly should, because you need those in your marketing material. On your business card, you want to have the name of your company, and in my case, www.kentelectrics.com. So I want that because on marketing material, that looks a sight better than where you should build your website. I mean, I'm coming around to explaining. And you should build your website on a keyword-rich domain. So in my case, let me just move the slides along so that this makes sense. So what you need to do is select your domain name based on locality and not on vanity. What do I mean? My business was Kent Electrics. My website that I had on all of my marketing material was www.kentelectrics.com because that looks the part. Okay, but my website was actually built on www.electricianinchatham.co.uk. Now, the reason for that, if you look at the highlighted words, electrician and Chatham, are searchable words. If somebody sits down at the keyboard and types in the word electrician or the phrase electrician in Chatham, I want to be found. I want to rank for that. That is a search term that I want to get highly ranked for. In fact, it's my #1 search term that I want to be ranked for as an electrician in this area. Okay, so building my website on that platform, on that domain, gives me a much better chance of ranking than if I build the domain on kentelectrics.com. Hopefully this is making sense. Now, I own kentelectrics.com, so how do I make that work when my customers type in kentelectrics.com and they don't type in electrician in Chatham? Well, you simply do what they call a 301 redirect. Don't get hung up on the terminology. Your web guy will understand exactly what it is, but it is in essence a permanent redirect to the website. So how I explain this, or how this should be explained, is have your vanity domain name for your marketing material, but do not build your site on your vanity domain name, because Google will give relevance, Google will give a higher relevance to the domain name that the site is built on. Okay, so when the search term is typed in, and I described it by spiders or bots, whatever you want to call it, but these little spiders creep out from the Google search engine, and they're searching for all of these search terms. So if somebody types in electrician in Chatham, then the little spiders are going out across the web and they're searching for that phrase, electrician in Chatham, and it will give relevance to where it comes up in its search. So if it finds it in the URL, which is the highest part of the search, if it finds it, it's going to give that site a lot more relevance than if it finds it lower down in the site, whether it's in the body of the text or whatever. So at different levels, it will give it different relevances. Hopefully this is making sense. So the very same thing is true for, you know, if you're doing electrician in Doncaster, electrician in Bristol, electrician in, you know, if you want to work in a particular tight area, then build your domain on a name similar to that area. So for example, if I was to discover that electrician in chatham.co.uk was not available, then with some, you know, just using a little bit of thought, you can change it to electrician in chatham.co.uk. I'm still getting those key words in there that people are likely to search. Hopefully this is making sense, guys. If this is making sense, can I just see some thumbs going across that screen? Some thumbs and some hearts. Now, again, you've got to keep thinking outside the box. And I know people went away and they were looking for the domains and they go, well, electrician in so-and-so has been taken. Just think outside the box and think other permutations that you can use. And remember, the length of the string in this instance will not matter. This is not the stuff going on your marketing material. This is where the domain name is going to be built. So if you have a string of search terms and it looks ugly, it doesn't matter, because this is what will be searched for. This is what will turn up. Yes, it'll show in the URL at the top level. When the person gets to the page, it will show. I'll explain that in a second. But you don't have to concern yourself about that as long as it is keyword rich. And another example is, if you find that electrician-in-Chatham is gone, then try something like an electrician-in-Chatham. But, the electrician in Chatham. Just find different permutations of the word. They will be available. You will find one available that has keyword rich terms there for you. That's the level. That's where you build your website. Now, we talked on Saturday about using other domain names. So, for example, I bought domain names like electrician in Maidstone, electrician in Rochester, electrician in Bearsted. All of these domain names I bought up and pointed them, 301 redirect pointed them at the main site, so that if anybody typed those in as a URL, they would be directed to my site. But the main reason that I bought up those domains was not for SEO relevance. Now, please be careful. I am not saying go out and buy up domain names. And this is the thing that concerned me after Saturday, was the number of people who were posting saying, oh, I've bought up this domain name, I've bought up that domain. I am not telling you to go out and buy up loads of domain names for SEO benefit, because the SEO benefit of owning all of these domain names does not exist. The benefit is on having the keyword rich top level domain name. Okay? For me, the benefit of buying up all of the other domain names was to stop anybody else locally for ranking for those keywords. Now, hopefully this is making sense. So in other words, if another electrician set up and was operating in Rochester, I didn't want him to have electrician in Rochester. So I buy the domain name. So he has to go off and find something different, less likely to rank. So having the domain name itself is not necessarily going to give you the SEO benefit. So do not go buying domain names for the sake of, or believing that you're going to get a huge amount of SEO benefit from it. You won't. Yes, it will help if somebody types in that key term directly, but it will prevent other people from buying up those domain names or using those domain names in your local area. Hopefully that clears up that about buying the domain names. But hopefully also you understand the whole idea and purpose of building your site on a keyword rich domain. Now, I know apart from Saturday, we haven't gone into this in a huge amount of detail inside the toolbox, and I know that many people will already have built their sites. They will have bought the domain name. For example, Darren, I'm using you, but for example, Darren Spencer Electrical, and it's serving them well, and that's great. However, he would get much more kudos. He would get much more search engine relevance by having electrician in Worcester as his domain. Keep the Darren Spencer, keep www.darrenspencerelectrical, and have that on your marketing material, on your vans, on your whatever, and you can have the site built on. And this is the other thing: if you're using a web developer to do this for you, make sure that they are not doing it the other way around, as in leaving the site on kentelectrics.com and pointing the electrician in Chatham at it. It needs to be the other way around. The site needs to be built on electrician in Chatham, and the kentelectrics.com pointed at it. Guys, very, very easy to do. You know, as I said, you can do this yourself. as in pointing domain names, because when you purchase a domain name, you're asked what you want to do with it. There are normally a series of little tick boxes and so on and so forth once you buy the domain, and one of those boxes will be, do you want to redirect it? Is it a temporary redirect, or is it a permanent redirect? A 301 is a permanent redirect, and that's what you want to do. Hopefully that's making sense. If you're getting some value out of that, if that's made sense to you, if you understand that, then let me see some thumbs, hearts and things going across the screen. So in essence, rounding up, build the website on a keyword rich domain name, point the vanity domain at it, and buy other domain names only to prevent people in the area from having them, from getting them, but not necessarily for SEO value. And more importantly, and I think what I sort of stressed and reiterated at the event was, if I'm going to have electricianinchatham.co.uk, then I'm also going to buy the electricianinchatham.com, because I don't want somebody else using the .com to rank for the same kind of domain name. So that, you know, that is good practice. If you get the UK, the .co.uk, then grab the .com as well. So just so that other people in the area can't get it. And if the .com happens to be gone already, or the .co.uk happens to be gone already, take the one that you want. So in other words, if electrician.co.uk was available, I'd take that, but .com's not available. Obviously I can't have it because it's not available, but I wouldn't miss out on the opportunity of taking the .co.uk one, whether I build my site on it or whether I'm just preventing somebody else from having it. So I think that's the advice on domain names, guys. Now, the other thing is, depending on where you go, domain names are different prices. And we've sort of proved that on Saturday as well. Some people were looking up domain names while we were going through the presentation. And in some instances, you'll pay 10 quid a year for a domain name. In other instances, you can pay £3.99 for a domain name for exactly the same freaking domain name. So shop around for your domain names. Do not just jump on a price that you see. And there are agencies out there who will try and sell you domain names for £300, £400, £500, £600. Up to you how badly you want that domain name, but quite often you can search around and find a permutation, a version of that domain name that will be available without having to spend huge amounts of money on it. I'm trying to remember, I think somebody said that somebody mentioned that there was an agency trying to sell them a domain name. I think they said for about 250 quid, but when they went and researched it, the actual domain name was 10 quid. They were able to get that actual domain name for 10 quid. So, you know, shop around and look for the domain names. Don't just jump on the first price that you get, but build it on a keyword rich domain name. Hopefully that's made sense. Good. So select for locality, not for vanity. The next thing with domain names is your page names. At a surface level, you have your domain name. So, for example, Dewane.com, electricianinchatham.com. But then every one of your pages after that can be named. And in fact, they are named, and in most cases, they're named automatically. So, for example, when you have an About Us page, your About Us, the URL may read something like www.electricianinchatham.com/about.php or whatever it happens to be. And that would be typical of a setup, or even testimonials or services. You know, it may read www.jdewane.com, or sorry, electricianinchatham.com/testimonials, and that is typically how they're set out, and that's typically how developers leave them. And the bottom line is, you can change the name of all of your pages, and it makes sense to change the name of your pages to terms that people are likely to search in. And again, why? Because when somebody types in to Google or any of the search engines, whether it's Google, Bing, Yahoo, whatever, we just say Google because it seems to be the biggest one and we all talk about Google. But when they type into the search engines, these little spiders go out and they're looking for things that are relevant to the search term the person typed in. Now, those of you who've done any sort of work with me on blogs and things will know that I talk about 25 keywords. You should have 25 keywords in your business that you hope to get found for. So keywords are phrases that you hope to get found for, whether it's things like local electrician, electrician in ME5, NIC, registered electrician, friendly electrician, maintenance electrician, service electrician, installation electrician, domestic installer. You should have a list of terms that you believe your ideal customer would be typing in if they were looking for somebody. Because I'll go back again and I will say they're not going to type in Kent Electrics. I need an electrician, Kent Electrics. They're not going to type that in. What they're going to type in is in the search bar, local electrician, or reasonably priced electrician, or registered electrician, or NIC electrician. They're going to type in terms like that, and those are terms that you should have, and you should have about 25 of those that you use in your blogs, in your YouTube. We'll talk about all that on another day, but this same set of terms are the searchable terms that you should be using on your website, because these are the 25 words or phrases that you want to get found, you want to get ranked for. So when anybody types in any combination of those terms, you want your website to come up quite high. So it makes sense then to name your pages based on those terms. So your About Us page will have a tab on the screen that says About Us, or news, or blogs, or testimonials, but it will have a tab on the page that will say that. The tab does not have to be the name of the actual page. So your About Us page could be called www.jdewane.com/NIC-registered-electrician. That's a term that somebody may search for. They're not going to search for Kent Electrics About Us, but they may search for electrician or NIC registered electrician. And that, as a page name, again, is going to come up quite high in terms of ranking on the search engines. So naming your pages with suitable search terms, hopefully, guys, this is making sense to you. Naming your pages with suitable search terms is also going to help with the ranking. Now, all of these things that we're talking about, guys, all of these things create little increments. You know, one of them alone isn't going to go guarantee that you are going to rank highly on the search engines. They're all little increments. It's by doing all of these little things that we're talking about that will give you that much more credence. So the higher up on the website that these things are found, i.e. in URLs, in page names, in alt tags, in image names, all of that, the higher up these search terms are found, the more relevance and the more credence you're getting. And this is a lot better than just shoehorning in lots and lots of keyword terms onto your page, in the text in your page. Hopefully, again, this is making sense, guys. So look at the names of your pages, and if your pages are reading something that is not necessarily a search term, because nobody's going to search for Kent Electric's testimonials, nobody's going to search for Kent Electric's About Us, make sure that you or your web developer changes the page name. It will still be your About Us page, it will still be your testimonial page, it will still be your blog page, but make sure that it is changed to something that is more like a searchable term that somebody would more likely type in to a box when they sit down at the computer looking for an electrician. Hopefully that makes sense. The other thing is, on the website itself, on every single page of your website, you need to have the NAP correct. And when we talk about NAP, we're talking about your name, address, and phone number. And it needs to be the same layout. We talked about this when we talk about Google My Business. But it needs to be the same layout as the address and phone number and everything that you are using in Google My Business. So the business name, the business address, and the phone number should appear on every single page of your website, not as an image but as text. And the best thing to do, guys, the best thing to do is to have it in the footer of your website. Again, headers and footers get a hell of a lot of recognition as far as SEO is concerned. Headers and footers, and then the body. Okay, but on the header or the footer, in this case with the address, I would suggest you keep the address, name and address of the business, very same as you list it on your Google My Business, which is Google Places, which is Google for Business, which has had so many bloody changes, it's confused itself. But the same way that you list it, so the business name appears exactly the same on the website as it would in the Google listing, the Google Pages listing, the Google My Business listing, which is, you know, if you type in Kent Electrics Limited Ltd, then it should appear like that on every page of the website. If you have limited, it should appear as limited, as in spelt out, L-I-M-I-T-E-D. Same with the phone number. It should be exactly the same phone number. Now, there was a question about using geographic numbers and actual numbers. On your website, you should use an actual number. Now, I've yet to talk to Brian to confirm whether you can have tracking numbers appear as geographic numbers. I believe you can, but I'm not sure whether it's in a setting or whatever. But the bottom line is, Google will recognize the difference between a tracking number and an actual geographic number, and it will either rank or penalize given on. And when I say penalize, guys, I'm not saying that they take you out and whip you for it, or they'll ban you or anything like that, but you get more relevance for an actual number than you will for a tracking number on a website. And we've always said on websites, your web presence, whether it's Facebook, and I know it makes the tracking a little bit more difficult as far as web is concerned, but there are ways around that using URLs. But anyway, have the phone number as a proper geographic number. I will get clarity on Brian if some of the tracking numbers can actually be proper geographic numbers, but Google, in all its wisdom and cleverness, knows the difference, and it will give you higher relevance for having a local number. So again, local number, not a phone, not a mobile number, not an 0800 or an 0345 number, whatever, but an actual local number. It will give you more relevance in that local area. So that's the name, address and phone number. Make sure that they are on every single page. If you put them into the footer text, then it will go across every page that you ever create on your website. Again, unfortunately, many people just put the name and address and phone number in the About Us page or the Contact Us page, which is ludicrous. Get it on every single page, and get it correct on every page, and the very same details are used right across your website. So that's the domain and the page's basics as it stands at the moment. I want to talk a little bit now about naming images and photos. Sorry, have you received some value from that, guys, at this present moment in time? Nice to see a few fresh people joining us there. Let me just have a quick scan down and see who else has joined us this morning. Bear with me for 1 minute, but then we'll move on to talking about images and that. So if you're receiving value so far, if you're enjoying it so far, and you're finding it interesting so far, let me see some thumbs and hearts and things going across that screen. I'm just fiddling around here trying to find out who else has joined us this morning. We've mentioned Richard Wood, we mentioned Ben Grant, we mentioned Darren Spencer, Ashley, Lee, Michael Conley. Good morning, sir. Good of you to join us, sir. Who else have we got? We said Tony, good morning. Richard, we said good morning. Okay, so there are some people sitting out there. Let me see if I can see who they are. There are people sitting out there who are not saying anything. Billy Cox, good morning, sir. Jump in and say something. Say hello, say good morning. Adam Hearson, good morning. Vish, you should know better. Say good morning. There was a query in the group that I sent to you yesterday, Vish, as well, or I tagged you in on, should I say. If you get an opportunity, have a look through and see. I can't remember what it was offhand, but one of the members was talking about images and photographs and rights and so on and so forth. I just thought you might be able to help with that, but that's a side issue. Okay, so all of you lurkers out there, you have been outed. Get in and say good morning to your fellow members. We're going to move on talking about images and photos. Okay, so on your website, we all have, and we all should have, various images and photographs on our pages to highlight what it is we do. First and foremost, let me say, my belief is that these should be your images, not stock images. You should have your own set of images, whether those are images that you have taken on your phone. Bearing in mind, phone quality photographs can be very good or okay for web sites, but, you know, be careful how you take the image and so on and so forth. Or whether you've paid a photographer to take photographs of you. Now, in Kent Electrics, I used a mixture of both. We paid a photographer to come out one day with us, and she came around. They took lots and lots of different photographs for us, so we had some really good high quality images. But I also had a lot of images that I took myself of jobs that we did and so on and so forth on the camera. My view is, if you are a local business presenting yourself as a local business on the web, then you should be using your own images and not stock images. People can tell the difference between stock images and images that have been taken. And in particular, if you can get images of the local area that people will recognize, it will make the place feel more familiar and more homely to them, and give you much more relevance as far as their psychology is concerned, forgetting about the SEO implications at the moment. Okay, so using your own images is going to be better for you in that instance, for that reason. And it looks a lot better in my view having your own images, and you should appear on your website. You, the face of your business, the person behind your business. You need to get over the whole thing of, oh, I don't look good on camera, or whatever it is, or the British thing about we can't really promote ourselves, we can't push ourselves out there. Get yourself out there. You are your business, and people will build relationship with you even through just seeing your image, just seeing your photograph. So get it out there, get it onto your website. Even better still, get a video on there. But that wasn't the topic of conversation for this morning. What it is about your the images on your site. Now, typically, when you upload an image to your website, the image has a name that the camera gave it. So you take the photograph, the camera assigns it a name, and it's normally a series of numbers based on the date. So what it will look like is something like that, file name, and it'll have a 2017-04-29. It'll be the date that the image was actually taken, or something to that effect. In some cases, it'll have the camera make or model number up there as well. It might have a HP or Canon or whatever in front of it. But the bottom line is, they are named automatically normally, and we quite often don't bother to rename them. We just upload them onto the website, or we send them off to our web developer or our web designer, and they upload them as is onto the website. Same is true for stock images. If you buy a stock image, or if you're using free stock images, those images are named based on a filing system that the people who own the images has. So, it may be a picture of a van, for example, and it will be named van A01 Peugeot or something like that. And stock images will carry names that are used for filing, rather than names that will help you with your SEO. Now, almost everybody does this or gets this wrong. The image gets uploaded onto the website, and what you don't realize is that those images are subject to being searched by the Google spiders as well. I'll call them spiders. I don't know if that's what they're called. Google spiders, Google bots, Google whatever. So those images have search term relevancy for you. So it makes sense for you to actually change the image, because when it's uploaded onto the website, this is what it will look like. It'll be the www, the name of your website, /image, /content, or whatever area it's been put into, and then it'll have the file name, and the file name in this case 2017-04-29. There is nobody sitting down at their computer to type in 20170429 when they're looking for an electrician. So it makes much more sense to rename the image before you upload it to the website. Now, in some cases, you can do it after you've uploaded it to the website, but some of the systems, and you know, this is not the place to go into all the detail, because you have all different web development systems, whether it's Wix, whether it's WordPress, whether it's Drupal, whatever platform you are using, they will have different ways of doing things. Some of them will not allow you to rename the image once it has been uploaded. Okay, so it makes more sense to rename the image while you have it on your desktop in a file or folder, and give that image a name that is likely to be used as a search term. So in this picture, we're looking at a plug top. That plug top was named the date that it was taken. Now, I'm not expecting to be found for somebody searching the word plug top, so there's no value in me renaming that burnt out plug top. I've got no SEO value in doing that. However, I can get some SEO value out of renaming that as Local Electrician, or I could label it as Electrician in ME5, or I could label it as NIC Electrician. But think about the list, that list of 25 that I talked about. What name could you give to the plug top that somebody is likely to type in? Does it matter to you whether it's called plug top or not? No, because you're not using it as a store for, you know, 1,000 different images on plug tops that you need to find that particular plug top. So name it whatever, you can call it whatever you want, and it makes sense to call it something that is more likely to be searched, something that's more likely for your customer to sit down and type in. So when they type it in, the spiders go out, the bots go out. The bots will more likely come across a URL like this, which is your website name, image/content/local electrician. And that term, local electrician, if somebody typed in local electrician, that will hit on that image. If that image is sitting on a website that has electrician in the, or local electrician in it, and it's sitting on a page name that has something like local electrician in it, it's going to have much more relevance. It's going to bring it higher up the search engines. So hopefully that's making sense. Can I just see some thumbs and fingers and hands up and things if you have had images on your website that you were unaware were named badly and perhaps not ranking as well as they could do because of and you're going to change it. So are you going to make some changes to your images? I think it's a simple question. Let me see some thumbs and hearts and stuff going across that screen. Wonderful. Excellent. Okay guys, so that is images. Now, how do you know what the image is called? If you go to your website or any website and you find an image on the website, right click with your mouse on the image, and you have a list of actions that you can do. Select the one that says open image in new tab, and then just look at the URL across the top of the screen. On the top of the screen you will have a URL, and if that URL is a string of text that is not likely to be related to a search term, then it needs changing. It's as simple as that. You know, and changing things to like one of the ones that's on your list of 25, and your list of 25 will probably vary depending on who your ideal customer is. So make sure that all of the images have names that are searchable. Hopefully that's all made sense to you. I'm going to come around to those questions and things in a moment. I think my screen has all frozen up yet again, but we'll get back to that in a second. Okay, so that is naming your file images. Now the next thing is every single image that you upload onto a website, every single photograph or image that you upload onto a website gives you the opportunity to look at or view the alt text. Now, the alt text is it's like a description that of the image that Google will see, but no one else actually sees unless they actually hover over the image. The alt text doesn't appear anywhere. So with the alt text, and you know how or why or when it exists, like I said, I'm not an SEO expert. I don't know. What I do know is that the Google bots, the Google spiders, will pick it out and will recognize it. And what it can look like on, we'll come back to that next one in a moment. What it can look like when you upload on a WordPress site, and I believe most other sites will be the same. You upload an image onto the site. It then gives you a little caption box like this. It may look slightly different. It may be a clickable link that you have to open up, but either, depending on the system you're using, either the alt text will be pre-filled with a string that is unrelated to your search term, or it will be blank, like in this case. And you need to, again, fill that in. So fill in the alt text with a searchable term. Now make that searchable term slightly different to the name of the image that you have uploaded. So for example, if you had named the image Local Electrician, then you might want to name the alt text NIC Electrician, or Registered Electrician, or Friendly Electrician, or something along those lines. But make the alt text slightly different to the name of the image. You're not going to get any additional value by having the alt text and the name exactly the same. And it is always worth filling in the description of the image as well. So do a brief description of the image, again trying to get some of your search terms into the description of the image. Hopefully that is making sense to you guys here at this present moment in time. Let's go back and have a look at this. So okay, so you've done the alt text. The next thing you need to do is be aware of image links. Again, this is another mistake that a lot of people make, and I, you know, before realizing and understanding it and knowing it, I've made it myself. And what are we talking about? Well, many of you will have badges for various different things on your website, whether it's your NIC or your NAPIT or your Alexa or your approved person scheme, whether it's Part P registration, Check a Trade, My Builder, Fair Traders. Most of us have various different links like this on our websites, and when the customer clicks it, it takes them off to that organization. Yeah, that's what I said. It takes them off to that organization. And many of us look at that and we think, oh, that's a good thing. And the truth is, it's not a good thing. The bottom line is, in one way, shape or form, it has cost you something to get that customer to view your website. You've paid either financially or you've paid in time, sweat, tears, whatever you like, to get somebody to come and look at your website. And then you're giving them an opportunity to go away by giving them a clickable link that sends them off to check you out on the NIC platform. You're sending them away from your website. So you've done the work in capturing them, and then you're going, here you go off down that rabbit hole. And what happens is they go off down that rabbit hole, they go and look on the NIC and they go, oh yeah, he exists on the NIC, and I can see that, you know, everything's fine, that's wonderful and dandy. Oh, but hang on a second. There's 6, 8, 10, 12 other electricians in the area who are also on this site. Let me have a look and see what they're all about. And once they've gone down the rabbit hole, you know, they may come back, they may not come back, but why give it that chance? And the very same thing is to be said for anything else like the Part P registration schemes, the Checker Traders, the My Builders, the Medway Fair Trader schemes. You're sending them away from your business, giving them the opportunity to do business with your competition. So don't do it. Basically remove the clickable link. You don't have to have that clickable link to the other organization. In fact, as far as ranking is concerned, you are better off having a one-way link, that is a link from them to you rather than from you to them, and they have to give you a link from them to you. So if you're registered with the NIC, you will be registered on the NIC website with your website URL, which is passing back to your website and giving your website some form of relevance stroke kudos. Same thing with Check a Trade, same thing with PARP, all of that. As long as you're registered on these platforms and they're linking back to your website, you're getting some form of recognition. Now, if you're linking back to them, that can be seen by the engines as a reciprocal link, which these days Google tend to look at and think that, you know, that's cancels out one another. It's, well, he links to him, he links to him, so they're equal relevance, and it cancels out one another. If you've got lots of people linking into you, but you're not linking out to lots of people or to the same people, then Google bots look at it as if, right, all of these places are linking to him, so therefore he must be relevant. He must be important. This product, this website must be important if you have all of these incoming links. So don't, for SEO purposes, it's better to have a one-way link. That's good. But don't send people away from your website by giving them a link away off of your site to them. Remove the clickable links back to these organizations. If you want them to find out more information about what the NIC is about and so on and so forth, then create a page on your website that provides all the information that they would find on the NIC page. So give them the background of what the NIC is about, who the NIC is, what registration means, all of that. But do it on your website. Send them to a page that you have created, or your web designer or your web developer has created, to give them that information. Don't send them off onto another site where they're more likely to go down a rabbit hole and you are more likely to lose them after doing all of the work to get them there in the first place. So guys, if there are any questions on what I've covered, and you know, again, I'm breaking this down into different parts. We will look at some more of this next week, about optimizing your website. Today we've looked purely at the domain name and the images and the pages on your website, and these things alone will help you to rank highly on your on your chosen search terms. And again, you know, remember, if do not go away buying multiple domain names, as some people took away from Saturday. Don't go away buying multiple domain names because you think it's going to give you SEO kudos. If you want to buy them for the right reason. And the reason I bought them was to prevent other people from buying them. And if you do have them, redirect them using a 301 redirect. And a 301 redirect is simply a permanent redirect. You know, again, don't get bogged down in the terminology. When you buy a domain name, you're asked what you want to do with it. The system will ask you what you want to do with it, and you click the links. You know, are you going to host it? No. Do you want to redirect it? If you want to redirect it, is it a permanent or a temporary redirect? Go permanent. It's a 301 redirect. Very, very simple. Make sure your website is built on the keyword rich domain and other domains point to it. So the keywords you want to be found for, that's the one it should be built on, because that's the one that the search engine will give the highest credence or the highest credibility to. So hopefully that makes sense. Guys, if there are questions, please, now is the opportunity. Get those questions into the box. Next week we will look at other aspects of optimizing your website. But for this morning, that is the end of this presentation. I'm going to shoot through and see what questions there are. And bear with me as you stare at the top of my bald head. Bear with me. I'm scrolling down, and I'm getting past all of the good mornings. Right, good morning. Good. Ashley's already lost her buy a domain name. Ashley, do not be lost at buy a domain name. And again, the codes that they use, you know, 301 redirects, 204 redirects, all of this, don't worry about that. The bottom line is it needs to be a permanent redirect. If you buy a domain name that you buy for vanity reasons, so let's just talk vanity at the moment. Kent Electrics. My website did not sit on Kent. Actually, funny enough, it did when I first started, because I made the mistake that everybody makes. I bought kentelectrics.com, built the website on kentelectrics.com, then realized or was educated and understood that KentElectrics.com wasn't helping me to get ranked. The content on the site helps you to get ranked, great, but a domain name, sorry, a keyword rich domain name, Electrician in Chatham, was better to host the site. So we changed it over. We put the hosting on electricianinchatham.co.uk, and then we pointed the Kent Electrics one at it. And when I say pointing, it is literally, you know, with the domain name servers, they ask you, what do you want to do with this domain name? Do you want to host it? Do you want to redirect it? And when you're asked to redirect it, they'll ask you, where do you want to redirect it? And permanent redirect is what you want. That's what a 301 redirect is. It's a permanent redirect. So if you have a domain name that you're not using, i.e. you have not built anything on it, but you want to get some kind of value out of it, then point it at the site that your hosting is on. Simple. It is easy. You know, people like Gary Pratton can help you through it. People like Gary Mawani can help you through it. Your web developer should know what he's doing. Your web designer should know what he's doing. But unfortunately, quite often they have to be told to do it. But don't, you know, the message I'm trying to get across is, after Saturday, we had a lot of people saying, oh, I bought up this domain and I bought up that domain. That's not what's going to give you the relevancy. What's going to give you the relevancy is having your site built on a keyword-rich domain. One keyword-rich domain. That's the one that's going to get the relevancy. That's the one that's going to get the SEO ranking. Okay? If you have a vanity domain name, which is kentelectrics.com, that's the one you want to appear on your business card. That's the one you want on your brochures. That's the one because Electrician in Chatham doesn't look great on a business card or on a brochure or anything like that. So using kentelectrics.com looks better on the business card, but I have it pointed at the Electrician in Chatham. But then if you have other domain names, or you're buying up other domain names to prevent people from taking them in the area and for them ranking for them in the area, you can point those at your website as well. Will they help? Yes, they'll help. Will they give you great SEO relevance? Not really, no. So don't buy them thinking that these are going to help you get ranked instantly. They're not, but they will prevent other people from ranking for those keywords because you own the domain names, and it will give you a certain amount of relevance. Hopefully that makes sense.